Welcome back to By Design, an Acast Network podcast. I'm your host, Whitney Young, and I'm so glad you're here. If you are watching the video version of this on YouTube right now, you will see that I have a different background from the last time. I'm no longer in LA, but hopefully I will be there again soon. This is like the sisterhood of the traveling bisexual, this podcast. Like I'm all over the place. I'm going to be in New York later this week filming more episodes and then possibly some other places. So the background is going to be changing. You will notice that if you watch the video versions. But that aside, this episode is part 2 of Being Becky's So Hot with Becky Missal. And I just want to say before we get into it, I was so moved and honestly grateful for the people who watched or listened to part 1 that are fans of Fletcher or Shannon, and they watched nevertheless with an open mind and an open heart, and they heard out this third side of the story that has not been heard before. I saw so many comments on YouTube on the video version and even on TikTok, a lot on TikTok, of people saying things like, you know, I'm a Shannon fan, I'm a Fletcher fan, but Becky didn't deserve this, or, you know, I can see how this was not handled in the greatest way. Everything that, you know, that went down over the last 2 years, starting before summer of 2022. A really important takeaway here is that there is duality. You can be a fan of Fletcher, or, you know, you can appreciate her music, you can appreciate Shannon's content and like her, and also realize that what happened was fucked up, like, especially as time went on. I think, you know, going back to the summer of 2022 when Becky's So Hot first came out, I'll be honest, I was one of the people that was using that song as a sound on TikToks and, you know, participating in all of the kind of the drama and just everything as it was unfolding. It was like, oh my gosh, you know, what's going to happen next? I did always feel uncomfortable for Becky, but I think watching as things went back and forth a little bit, like, you know, when Shannon and Becky sold the shirts and, you know, they were playing into it for a period of time. And I think that almost gave permission in a way, or I felt like it gave permission to also kind of play into it. But as things continued and as time wore on and more things happened, it just felt increasingly like, if you're listening to this, you can't see me, but I'm cringing. I'm cringing. It became increasingly cringe and increasingly, I felt for Becky, and I felt like it just got really out of hand. I don't know. I think the bottom line is, like, no one in this situation is all bad. It's not black and white. It's not all bad or all good. And Becky says that in part 1. She says it, I believe, again, upcoming in part 2. You know, like, there's context to all of this and everyone plays a part. All that being said, I think Becky was wronged in the end. I don't think that's really debatable. And I think that her side deserves to be heard. Period. The other 2 people have spoken their piece and told their side of the story and even reconciled on their platforms, which are much larger than Becky's platform. And so therefore, she's allowed to discuss her experience. That's really it. That's the bottom line. But more than one thing can be true. You can like these other people and appreciate their work and them, and also see that what happened to Becky was not right. So yeah, there's no need to hate on anybody or assassinate anyone's character or say anyone's like all bad. That's not the case. Breakups are messy, but when someone gets hurt to the extent that I think Becky was and dragged into something that, like, she didn't ask to be involved in, that's where maybe a little more accountability could exist. I also want to say, this is important, this episode release had nothing to do with Shannon hard launching her new relationship on social media. I saw a couple comments about that and saying that the timing was, you know, suspicious. This has been in the works since May, this episode. And if anything, it would line up with the 2-year anniversary of Becky's So Hot coming out, which was July 20th, 2022. But even that is a coincidence, I promise. Like, this literally just happened to be scheduled this way and worked out based on the timeline that I was developing the podcast on and having guests on in a certain order and the order in which they were filmed or whatever. So this is not a move or a retaliation strike against Shannon's new relationship. I wish them the best. Period. That's it. I hope everybody, honestly, like, as an outsider of this whole thing, I hope everybody finds healing, growth, peace. Healing, growth, and peace. Like, everybody, you know, hurt people. I think that's what happened here, and it's not right. So again, accountability. But I hope everybody can get to a better place. And I hope that this part 2 clears up any remaining questions. Again, Becky's able to speak her truth, talk about her experience, the outpouring of support for her, being able to speak on her experience and, you know, kind of what she went through has meant so much, and it's just been really cool to see that support. So yeah, I think I've talked enough. I know you are probably chomping at the bit to get to this part 2. So I'm going to stop talking, and I appreciate you being here. Let's get to it.
May 2023.
Okay.
I was still dating Shannon.
Okay.
And we were definitely having issues already. Mm-hmm. And we went to New York for a trip. Mm-hmm. And I went to the Eras tour one night, and she had tickets the next night.
Oh God, yeah. this.
Oh, I remember why
the Taylor Swift
the, like,
concert.
Feeling tired and feeling like done. Like,
yeah.
When that happened, like, so I don't know. I'm sure people listening like know all this context, but if you don't, Shannon bumped into Carrie there, and they saw each other, and their interaction was only like 2 minutes, mm-hmm. right? And she texted me immediately, and she's like, "Oh my God, like I just bumped into Carrie. How crazy!" And even in that text exchange, I remember being like, I feel guilty for having my own feelings about this. It felt like ever since Becky's So Hot, anything Carrie related, I had my own feelings about, because I felt involved, where I'm like, I wish I could just mm-hmm. objectively be here for you as your girlfriend, because I'm sure you seeing your ex brought up a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm here for you, but I think I even said, like, I feel really bad, but I know you, and I know you were probably nice to her. Yeah. And that, it might be selfish to say, it is selfish to say, but that hurt me, because I'm like, this person hurt me. And I knew, like, they hadn't seen each other. I don't know. I just knew there was feelings involved that were like, but I was upset about it. And she just was like, you know, we talked about it. And then the next day, she came to Jersey, because I was in Jersey at this point at my parents' house. Okay. And then we were going to spend the day there. And then the next day we were flying back to LA. Mm-hmm. And I remember we were sitting on the couch, and I'm scrolling TikTok, and I see this like insanely viral video of them hugging. And again, like, I don't know. I think sometimes she would omit information that would like upset me. Yeah. And it's weird, because in any other situation, I would not fucking care. Right. If you didn't mention that you hugged your ex-girlfriend. I'm not like that. Yeah. In general.
I think it was if I can just speak as an outsider, I think it was the length of the hug, the length of the hug, and like the intimacy. I felt that hug. Yes. Like, I can still picture that hug. Yes. And that's why it went viral.
So fucking funny.
That's why it went viral.
Yes. And it upset me that I was
It wasn't like one of these, so like, funny. How you doing?
No, yeah. And I was upset, because I'm like, okay, we're sitting on my parents' couch, literally. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching this along with, at this point, the video already it probably had close to 1 million views. Yeah. So I'm just sitting there being like, why am I watching this with 1 million other people? I wish you had told me this, because mm-hmm. then I wouldn't be so
blindsided.
I felt blindsided. Yeah. And then it was just so confusing, because then I felt bad for her too, and I'm like, I'm sure you just it was emotional for you, and I'm sure, I don't know, it just was weird. It was like weird trying to be there for her and whatever. So the next day we get on our flight. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Is it someone you...
No, I need to just turn the volume off. I'm like so popular, and it's like a like collect call.
Yeah, right. Spam, do not answer,
literally.
risk.
Oh my God, my foot is a little asleep. I'm just gonna
yeah, we can have a stretch moment.
Where
so you're
was
sitting
I?
there
Okay.
watching.
Oh, so then the next day we were flying back to LA, and also one of the things I said to her, like I think the first thing after the hug video, I turned to her and I went, now she's gonna write a song about this. I said, now she's gonna write a song about this, and she was like, no, she's not. And I said, Shannon, she's going to write a song about this.
Didn't she?
Well, yeah, she did.
The one that's like, how are you doing?
Yeah, Eras of Us.
Eras of Us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was my literal first thought. Like it was so just felt constant in our relationship that I turned to her and I'm just like, and now you were too nice, and now she's gonna write a song, and now a year from now, we're gonna have to. It's gonna be a whole new press thing and a whole. I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. On the flight, it was a 5-hour flight. I think Shannon was so freaked out. I think she was like, oh my God, Becky broke. Because I didn't say a single word. I just sat, no, I'm not kidding. I sat on the flight like this. I wasn't shaking, crying, or anything like that, but I just sat like comatose, could not speak, but tears the entire 5 hours.
Oh,
just
God.
Constant flow down my cheeks. And I just was like, I felt so depleted is the word I can best describe it. I felt so depleted. I just was like, I really just can't do this anymore. It was this constant thing in our relationship that was just so exhausting. And
it was like there was a third person in the relationship, even though it wasn't actually a throuple, but there was literally a third person.
And it's like also, it's hard too, because I'm like, there's some things I can definitely empathize with Carry On. Never thought I would say those words, but you know, like I get it. I know what it feels like when your partner moves on quickly.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But
it's terrible.
It just felt like it went on too long and it was too much. I'm like, you didn't have to go this far. Like I really just wish I was never involved.
Right.
And again, like she would do things, but it was a lot of people online that would take it and run with it.
Right.
And make it so much bigger than even it. And you know, like,
yeah,
it is not normal. Like you're in a relationship now, right?
Yes.
You have a girlfriend.
Yes.
Also, congratulations.
It's actually my partner. They came out as trans
Oh my
masc,
God,
non-binary.
I'm so sorry.
No. Oh my God, no. You're good. I was referring to them as my girlfriend on TikTok.
Yes.
So
That's
yes,
what I was like, okay, amazing. Well, congrats
that
to
was
them.
a Pride
Congrats
Month.
to you.
Pride Month thing.
I'm
but
obsessed. I love.
Thank you.
But imagine you go online and your whole TikTok For You page is them being shipped with their ex.
I would vomit.
I
would vomit.
This fucking like this is not normal.
Yeah.
Imagine your friends and family were like, you know what? Like imagine their friends and family.
Yeah.
Were like, I wish they were with their ex partner, not you. It's
Wait,
no, I'm just saying like that's like it's hard to compare it.
Yes, it's hard to compare it to something normal for for those of us in normal scenarios.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just it's not healthy. It creates unhealthy dynamics in your relationship. I was already so fucking anxious in that relationship that every single thing I was just like, oh my God. And it made me more anxiously attached to her. And it created unhealthy dynamics in our relationship where there was also things like, God, I'm sorry, I'm so off track here. But I'm going back to like when I moved and I didn't know anyone and then also was coming into my queerness and meeting queer people for the first time. But everyone queer that I was meeting, Shannon was also meeting at the same time. So there was a lot of like friend group crossover.
Okay.
And I knew that she wished that I had people kind of outside of that.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. I really should have done a better job, but I was so anxiously attached that I couldn't. It was like that thing of being like, I don't want to make plans Friday night because what if me and Shannon could do something?
Yes.
But then she would make her own plans. And it's not a fault to her. It just was like how it was. And I should have done a better job, but I just was.
You were a baby gay. You were a baby bi.
Yes,
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So there was a lot of things that contributed to that dynamic, but the Fletcher stuff was a big part of it.
Yeah.
And the online stuff was a big part of just being like, this just fucking sucks. Like it never felt, we would have like 2 months of peace and then it would just be something else.
And then you get used to that cycle of the floor falling through, and you're just waiting for it. You're just like, like my past relationship was very much like that. So even in my current one, even though it hasn't been that way, I'm still having to fight that wiring of like, when is the floor going to fall through again? And it's just a terrible way to live. And it fries your nervous system.
Oh, it really does. It really, really does.
Okay. So I think a question that I think probably a lot of people want to know is, no, it's not that scary. It's not that scary. Have you ever been contacted by Carrie? Has she ever apologized or anything like that?
Nothing. Because
it did have an impact on your life, which we won't go into, but like, no, there was just no acknowledgement. Okay. No. Okay. So that answers that.
Leave that. Right there. Nope. Nothing.
How did you feel when your ex had her ex on her podcast a couple months ago?
Yeah. Not amazing.
Not like the best day of your life.
I wasn't throwing a party. I wasn't like jumping for joy. No.
Yeah.
It was, it's really hard to talk about anything again with like, I even think about things I'm saying here, and I don't know, part of it almost feels like I don't want to paint anyone in a bad light, or there's context to everything.
Yes.
But what I will say is I was hurt. I was upset. I think there's some things that happened between me and my ex after our breakup that just made me feel really hurt by that. I think we broke up at the end of September, and then we had met up for like, we exchanged things, and we got a coffee like in like late October maybe, and I thought that maybe we were going to be on good terms. I wanted to be. I wanted to at least be friendly and civil, and we talked about our relationship. We talked about so many things, and I left that convo feeling really good. And she had mentioned like, are you going to be talking about our breakup at all? And I said, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Are you? And she was like, no, like, I think let's just let it naturally, whatever. And I was like, okay. And then a month after that, just popped on Instagram one day, saw that she was coming out with this podcast.
And you didn't know? She didn't let you know ahead of time?
No, she didn't tell me. So that was the first thing that I was just kind of like, oof. Like, I thought there was... sorry. Like, I don't know, you just like would hope that it felt like she didn't care about me. Like care about my feelings in a way that just felt very like, just because we broke up, I don't know, it just felt like she didn't care about me. And it felt like, even knowing what I had been through with the Becky So Hot stuff, I thought even more so she would know that would be triggering to me.
Yeah.
And I remember even like the blurb, the last sentence was like, who better to give relationship advice than someone currently going through their third public breakup? And I was just like, okay, like we had weirdly like agreed not, it just was like weird, and I just felt really hurt. And I saw her like a month after that, and we ended up having like a really long conversation about it. And I think it was in like January that again, somehow the topic of Carrie got brought up, and I said, do you think you'll ever have her on your podcast? And she said, I have no plans to, but if it ever becomes a possibility, I'll reach out to you and have a conversation with you about it first. And then it was in March, I just get a text out of the blue, and it just says like, hey, quick heads up, Carrie's the guest on my podcast next week. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, again, I don't know. It just, everything she was doing, it just, I just was like, oh my God, like, you don't care about me. Like, you don't care about my feelings. And it's hard. I don't want to speak for her, but I think it was a feeling of feeling like she was finally doing things for herself.
Yeah.
And to not to fault her, but when we were together, so much of it was about me because of the Becky So Hot stuff.
Right.
That I felt like she was like, oh, I can finally just like do whatever, say whatever.
Yeah.
But it comes back to that like collateral damage feeling. I really just felt like, okay, I'm just collateral damage again. Like, you're doing what you want, and somehow I'm just like part of it, but not part. It was just like strange. And of course, I had to listen to the episode because
of course,
had to.
If anyone says they wouldn't, they're lying.
Literally lying.
Come on,
you would watch it.
Yeah,
and
I watched it. I had to. I had to know, and I think,
it was. I think it was hard for everyone. I think they were trying to be respectful by not talking about me.
It did seem that way. Yeah, like there was that effort.
That was the intention, but it felt like it was, again, just them two and their whole thing, and they were getting this closure, and I was a little upset that I was like, it felt, again, like Shannon, again, this is her life, so she can do whatever, but I felt hurt, like, oh, now that we're broken up, you're just going to give this person a platform to, like, you know,
right.
Yeah.
When she already, her ex has a platform.
Yeah.
Carrie has a platform.
Like she was giving her a chance to, like, I don't know. It's weird. I feel there's so many, it's so complicated. There's so many emotions, but I just felt like, okay, again, I'm just like kind of, it's just you guys' story, and I'm just this like weird side character.
Yeah.
And not acknowledging me at all in that, and I don't know, it was just weird. I'm like, do you guys even have to do this like publicly? Like,
right.
It was, I felt weird about it, and I felt hurt, and I felt,
because I kind of feel like I get it from the standpoint, certainly as a content creator and all of that, I get it from the standpoint of like, this is gonna resonate and people are gonna, they're gonna eat this up, but when there is another person involved, and it's not like Shannon and Cammie where they had this like public thing together and there was no one else involved. You were the collateral damage in that relationship, or in your relationship, and like their ending and whatever.
Exactly.
And it just, like, do it in private. Like, do you really have to? Or like, I feel like Shannon could have told what she wanted to tell on her podcast in a solo episode. Right. It's them coming back together that makes it feel like they're in cahoots or something. It's like weird.
Exactly. And I don't know. It felt weird. It was strange, and
people do what they feel they have to do at any given time. Right. And unfortunately, not everyone is as like considerate or has as much regard for other people.
Totally. And I mean, it's weird too, right? Like, even I'm sitting here right now, and I just shared a lot of personal stuff. Yeah. And that's a side of it, Yeah. I don't think I would have genuinely ever talked about literally any of this if that had not occurred. Yeah. Because
the podcast.
Yeah. Or like all of it. Like, I was down to just keep it. Yeah. No one has to know anything.
You have not said anything. Yeah. You made one TikTok like a month and a half ago or something about like the holding the door open, that thing.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
That's the only thing I've heard you speak on.
Yeah. But I do feel like there is a level of, okay, you're putting everything out in the open. Like, at some point I do have to say something, because again, I just have this, I don't know, I feel like people have this perception of me that, I mean, if it's bad, I hope it's wrong. I hope that, right. I don't want to never say anything about how I feel about things, and then that just to be, people think what they want, because shockingly, it's been so fucking long, and I'm still getting the repercussions of it. Like, so many years later. It's really crazy.
Still, you mean mentally, emotionally, or like on social media, you're still getting it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel I'm better at blocking things out now. Yeah. But even I was telling you, like, even it feels weird to even be on a podcast. I'm like, I feel like I have imposter syndrome all the time. I'm like, honestly, everyone, like, you should just unfollow me, because I don't even know what, like, I'm not even out here like doing things like.
You're just like, please stop following me.
Right. I just feel, I don't know. It's weird. Like, it feels weird. I'm a content creator, but I'm like, not.
You're
just weird.
You're like weird. Just a person living their life who documents it sometimes. Yes. Versus being someone who's like making transitions, like I do some of that. like that
hey,
shit.
I've been making a thirst trap here and there. I've been making some transitions.
That's right. You do.
I also, it is like, I think there's representation in any form is also good.
Yeah.
Like, I wish everyone online was gay. In my head, everyone's gay. I walk around the world being like, you're all gay.
Yeah, we're all on the Kinsey scale somewhere. So
do you know that like stat that recently came out where it says right now they're seeing the greatest number of people that identify
as queer.
Yes. And how there's so much discourse around like, why? And it's like, people have been queer.
Yeah.
But now we have the education, resources. The more representation there is,
yes,
the more someone looks at even one video on your For You page on TikTok and you're like, maybe I'm gay.
Yeah.
I could be queer. Like,
it's normalized. We're desensitized. It's mainstream.
Yes.
All of that.
I'm like, let's take down the patriarchy and make everyone queer, because a lot of people are queer. And they just don't know it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You didn't know it until just a few years ago.
I had no idea.
You had no idea. I hadn't even thought about it.
Literally. Here I am, gay as ever.
Here you are. Okay. So I want to take a deep breath.
You're scaring me.
No. I'm like, no. This is like a come down. We're coming down. Like, we're coming down from the stress. All of a sudden, I'm like, so I have the big question. Not really.
Right? I'm like,
not
wait,
really.
What else is there?
You're like, I've told you everything I know.
Whole life story. Oh gosh, that's like my other thing why I didn't want to do a podcast. This is a random thought. I feel like I'm gonna listen to my voice and be like, why do I? When you hear a video, why do I sound like that? So
I feel that way every time I have to edit myself in these where I'm like, why do I sound like I'll just go into different voices sometimes where it's like really derpy sounding, like dorky and derpy, and I'm like, oh, what is that? Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Or you say it's so easy to say like so much.
Yes,
and I'm like,
well,
why am I saying that so much? When I speak in real life, I feel like don't do that.
Yeah,
but when I'm a camera, a mic, I feel just the filler words coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Like all of it.
Okay, sorry.
So it's been, let's see, you've been apart, broken up for coming up on a year, right?
Yeah, end of September will be a year.
How are you doing now? Like, how do you, after all that we've just talked about, like, do you feel like you're on the other side?
For sure.
Good.
I think in the beginning, I took it really rough. Mm-hmm. I didn't want the relationship to end. I wanted to work on the issues that we had. And I think anytime that you're the person being broken up with, sometimes it wrecks you a little.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for the first 4 months, I was in therapy every single week. I really was just looking internally a lot. What did I do that I could have done differently in that relationship? What are things I want to work on of myself? Again, it's so easy to point the finger at someone else and say, this is what you did, that was bad. But I can rattle a laundry list of things that I did that I don't want to do, and I don't want to bring that to a relationship moving forward. So that was my first I got outside a lot. I did all the, if you Googled how to handle a breakup, that was me.
Yeah.
I was picking up hobbies
all the things.
Left and right. I was in pottery class. I was rock climbing. I was just doing everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And then it was, I guess it was about 4 months after I said, okay, I think I feel in a place where I could casually start to date.
Okay.
Definitely don't want to be in a relationship, but get myself out there. Sort
of.
So that's what I've been doing ever since. I've really just been honestly casually dating.
That's awesome.
It's been fun because, it's been fun. It's been scary.
Yeah.
Because she was my first girlfriend, this is my first time being single and out.
Which is,
it's a lot. I never had to.
It's a shift.
I never had to go on a casual date with a girl.
Yeah.
I had to do my first one, a couple months ago. I was like, oh my gosh, this is scary and exciting. And I think the other piece that's been a little tough for me is sometimes I feel like a meme. Honestly.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I feel like a meme. And that's hard. I'm in these queer spaces, and often it's just like, or like a joke. You know, I feel like a joke, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be hard for me to find someone in here who doesn't. It would be really hard to find someone who didn't know about anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've tried to find people that are really on the outskirts,
really removed from, or even
from
like,
just, like the scene.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm trying to think. Probably, well, I don't know. Maybe if you found someone older, like find like a 40-year-old who doesn't know who any of these people are.
Well, you know what? Also, like, I've been on dates with some younger people.
Okay.
And when I say younger, I mean like 3, maybe 4 years younger than me.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
But it's weird because enter comp head again. Like, usually when you're a girl and you're dating guys, they're older.
Yeah.
That's because guys' brains develop slower than ours.
Like, right.
Physiologically, we should be with older guys.
Yes.
Usually, to an extent. And I kind of had to switch. And Shannon was older than me too. She's like 3.5 years older than me.
Okay.
Which is about the pattern with my ex-boyfriends too.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first time, I had to really just shift and be like, right, it's not weird for me to be older. I could definitely date a girl that's 24, 25, 26 that is mature. And, you know, so
right.
I found with a lot of the younger people also, a lot of them just don't really care. They're not invested. Mm-hmm. They're like, yeah, I heard about it, but like,
yeah, right.
It's not, you know, it's
right.
Like, so that's been good. But there's also the fucking web. The web is insane.
Oh, you mean like the chart?
Yes.
Like the chart from the L word that is actually now real?
Yes. It's like you would not, like you genuinely, I made a TikTok about this, but I had a group chat with my friends where we created these loops. So you'd look at the chart, right? And you'd start at me. And I'd be like, I went on a date with this person who dated this person who dated this. And you loop all the way back around to you. Oh my God. And it goes a circle. And it like, I knew it, but just being in it, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And then you go one step further and you're like, my friends are single at the same time as me.
Yeah. And
like, I'll have a friend and be like, oh, I matched with this girl and we're going on a date. And she's like, me too. And I'm like, fuck. Like,
oh my God.
Fuck. Yeah.
And especially, like being in LA, like it's just.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's such a small world.
It is.
Painfully small.
Totally. And like the amount of people that slide in to the DMs or the Hinge or the Rye or whatever, and it's like a Becky so hot pun. I'm like,
oh my God,
I'm like, number one way to not get
oh my God. Okay, so if you're watching this,
DMs respectfully,
no references to the trauma, please.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know it's just weird. I'm like, do you think it's gonna work? Like,
yeah, no.
What?
That was not a good time for you. No. So we don't want that brought
weird.
up.
I'm like, I don't know. It's just weird. And that's what I mean though when I mean like I feel like a joke or like, and especially when people are drinking, I'll go out to a queer space. Yeah. And I think that's kind of was tough for me too. Like I said before, I didn't know anything about anything. Mm-hmm. I'm like, my first girlfriend was like the lesbian. Yeah. Like what the fuck? Like I did not know what I was getting into in a way that I'm like, shit, it's still kind of low key affecting me because most queer spaces, it's like a weird like micro bubble, and you just feel like I just want to meet someone removed from that. Yeah. So that's been tough, but other than that, it's been fun.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I'm glad you're having fun because it sounds like, obviously not speaking to your whole past relationship, but it sounds like it was a lot of energy and it was hard and maybe there wasn't a lot of levity. Mm-hmm. And now you're in a period of lightness, lightheartedness, maybe.
You speak so eloquently.
Oh, thank you.
You really have a nice vocabulary.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's what happens when you yap for a living, you know.
You know what though? I've been a yapper and I read a lot.
I've been a yapper. No, I've been a yapper.
Well, actually, I was a really shy kid. I really didn't speak that much as a kid. Mm-hmm. But once I hit a certain age,
it was unleashed.
All the live long day.
Yeah.
It was unleashed.
Yeah.
And I read a fuck ton. Like I read a book a week. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Love to read. So I felt like I had And I loved public speaking, weirdly. Like, who the fuck loves public speaking?
I've never met anyone. I don't even like it. And this is what I do. But if you put me in front of like a live audience, I'm like,
you don't like it.
No.
I like to flip that. Like, I used to enter speech giving competitions and win like $1,000. Like,
that is like, I've never met anyone who's like in their zone in that environment. That's amazing.
But I swear to God, the brain rot I've experienced the past few years, even just being ingrained in social media, I listen to myself speak and I'm like, ew, I have lost so much of my, I don't know, I feel so much less articulate, like I can't even fucking think right now to say.
I feel less articulate.
I feel less articulate. But no, wait, articulate would be the right word. Yeah, but that's when you were like enunciating.
Eloquent.
Correct? Eloquent? I don't know that articulate would be a synonym for eloquent. Anyway. Cut.
We need more synonyms.
I feel like I speak less eloquently, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I disagree, but respectfully, I disagree.
I just realized I have been chewing gum this whole time, and I'm so sorry.
No, that I didn't even notice.
Well, you might notice when you listen to it. All you're gonna hear is like,
just chewing.
Yeah. I'm like, who the fuck has a piece of gum in their mouth while they're on the podcast?
It's okay. You know what? Hopefully it calmed.
I think it was like an oral fixation that I needed, but
totally.
Hindsight's 2020. You know, I look back and I'm like, shouldn't have done that.
I had that gum in my mouth the whole time.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I think actually no. I should ask one more question. This is for the people who want to shoot their shot with you in the DMs.
Okay.
You know, near and far.
Near and far.
What is your not like what is your type, because that's such a cliche question, but like what are you looking for even just in like dating wise?
I think like physically I don't really have a type. I mean, one of the best parts about being pansexual in general is that even on a like physiological level, no type. It's great.
Equal opportunity employer, as I like to say.
Although I will say, honestly, I have not been on a date with a guy since my last boyfriend. And I don't have the greatest interest to,
like, a burning desire to go pursue men.
I really don't. I'm very much like, I don't know, it's weird. I'm definitely pan.
Yes.
I find guys attractive. I just am very drawn to women.
Yeah.
And that's what I would prefer, or a non-binary person. But men, they're on like the bottom of my list to date. But yeah, I would just say, again, physically, I think of the people I've been on dates with, they're pretty different looking.
Yeah.
But I definitely need someone who has a sense of humor. That is so important. I have like very dry, sarcastic humor.
Yeah.
And it goes over a lot of people's heads, especially on social media. Oh my God. Sometimes I'll post a story. And again, when you post, it's under the pretense that people know you.
Right.
Which they don't.
Right. So they're taking it at face value. They have,
yes. Oh my God, the amount of like responses I'll get, and I'm like, oh no, that was a full sarcastic joke. Yeah. And now this is weird and whatever. But
now it's weird.
Yes. And I've been on dates where I've said things and someone's like,
that's the worst.
Yeah. And I'm like,
when someone does like the head tilt, like
the worst.
And you're just like, oh.
Like, banter is a big thing.
Banter's
like,
huge.
Banter. What is it? The Love Island, like bit of banter.
Banter.
Bit of banter,
good chat. Good chat.
Oh, yeah.
Good banter.
Good chat. Good banter.
Yep. He's fit. They're fit. She's fit.
Exactly. So that is important, like that kind of dynamic. And then, someone that's my family is really important to me. Like one of the most important things to me. Someone that I feel that I can bring around my family and they have a good dynamic, because that has not always been the case. Yeah. And that caused a strain on my relationship also, just not having that. So,
for sure.
Banter, humor, good with family. Trying to think what else.
Are you into zodiac stuff? Are you a zodiac person?
Yes and no, to a certain extent. I cannot stand, like, pretend we're on this couch and I'm like, oh my God, I went on a date with this girl. She's amazing, like huge crush. Yeah. And she's a Scorpio. Yeah. And you're like, ooh, no. And
can't do it. Yeah.
Going into all the reasons why it's not going to work out. Like, I like to think of it more as an introspective tool where you can read things about your sign.
Yes.
And attribute them to maybe certain thoughts, patterns, behaviors, personality traits that you have, and really say, oh, I'm like this, but I don't identify with that. And it's fun. I just can't stand when people take it so literally. I'm like, no.
I totally agree. When somebody says in earnest, oh my God, I'm never dating a Gemini again or whatever, I'm just like, and they're not being funny at all.
No.
They're dead serious. That's where people lose me
or
with
when
astrology.
They're like, oh, well, you're just like this because of your Gemini moon. I'm like, maybe you're just a fucking asshole.
Yes, right.
Maybe
stop blaming it on your moon.
Yes.
Stop blaming it on your 7th Venus house, Taurus, whatever the fuck. I don't even know.
Literally. So like I know enough, and again, I think it's fun. I'll be on a date being like, what's your big 3? And I'll say it right now, I'm a triple Leo. Sometimes,
you are?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a Leo sun.
Oh, you're August Leo, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But then Cancer moon, Scorpio rising.
Oh wow.
So it's 2 fire signs, I think.
Yeah.
And then a water sign. Wait.
No.
Scorpio is.
This is where we're like.
Wait.
I know all the astrology.
I know.
Right now we're like. No, it's Scorpio is a water sign.
It is?
Right? I swear. And Cancer is
water. I was like, moon.
Oh wait,
it's
no,
water.
You're right. Wait. Cancer's water.
Cancer's water. I thought Scorpio.
Because I always thought Scorpio was Earth, but then I remember that's wrong.
Scorpio.
Wait, we're Googling this right
literally now. Need to know.
Okay, because I know it's the fire signs are Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius.
Oh my God! Wait, you're right.
Yeah.
Water sign.
Yeah, water.
Scorpio is
Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces.
Okay.
That's water.
Okay. Yes.
And then fire is Leo, Sag,
Aries. And Aries. I almost said Aries.
No, but
Aquarius.
It's weird. I'm like Aries.
Yeah.
Should be fucking. I guess there's no air. I'm thinking of like Avatar.
Air
I'm
and
like Earth.
Yeah.
Air, wind, fire.
No, but it.
And then Earth is Taurus.
Yes.
Virgo. Libra.
Yeah.
And then did we say?
I think I think that's
air
right.
Signs Aquarius, which again, that should be water to me.
It should absolutely. Aqua. Yep.
Aquarius is air, and so is Gemini, I think. And so what's the one we're missing?
Capricorn. Yes.
Ding,
Okay,
ding,
we
ding,
got
ding.
it.
We finally done it. Yeah. So you have water. You have water in your chart.
I have water and fire, so hopefully that means I balance myself out.
Yeah.
Because water can put fire out and fire can make water boil. So it's like you have to, I don't know, keep an internal balance.
It calm.
But you're all Leo.
Yes, and you know what? I used to really shy away from that and be like, I know. I guess I still do that, but I've had an epiphany as of recent. Because sometimes I'll hear someone's chart and think that's terrible, and triple Leo is not the worst. It just sounds scary because it's triple of one thing.
Right.
But
it's like really strong. What you think is strong personality because it's 3 of the same thing.
Exactly. But I'm like, your moon is your emotions and your rising is the masculine of the world. And some people's, I'm like, that is actually scarier than a triple Leo. And there's also other signs that would be way worse triple of.
Yes.
Triple Gemini, absolutely not. Triple Virgo even?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Triple Scorpio, scary.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a triple Scorpio friend. Sorry to you. But,
But it is. But I think to your point, it's like not taking it too seriously and too literally, but using it as a tool, because I do see value in that for sure. Like just doing a little reflection and
anything that makes us reflect and analyze, I think can be a useful tool.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
How do you feel after all of this?
I feel good because I genuinely feel like I was just talking to a friend.
Yeah.
It was easy. I think it's gonna honestly more be so. I was telling you, especially if I feel nervous.
Yeah.
My trait is that I black out and then I go on autopilot and I just let myself talk.
Yeah.
If I'm with someone quiet, I will talk for 3 hours straight. Like where some people get anxious and don't speak.
Yeah.
I will speak.
Yeah.
I will not stop.
Yeah.
I will not stop talking. So I'm like, oh my God, if I listen to this, am I going to be like, why did I say that? Or why did I say it like that? Yeah. I don't even know what I talked about, but hopefully something good's in there.
I think I'll speak for myself and not anyone else. I think, we've heard these two sides of this story, and there's three sides to every story, especially this one. That
It's like four. It's like their side, this side, the truth, and now
the truth,
the fourth, and
Becky's,
and Becky's side,
and Becky's side, right? Yeah. But it's like your experience matters. Your experience is important, and the fact that you have not spoken on it and you've given it so much time and so much space, I think you're a bigger person than probably most in that regard. Because I think, like, even if I were in that situation, I'd probably be doing some snarky, like clearing the air. I don't know. Just so I appreciate you, and I feel honored that you were open to like coming on and talking about it on this podcast. And yeah.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate
for having me very much.
Yes.
I had a great time.
I hope that there's a lot of fun and levity in your future going forward.
I get, like, canceled on the internet. Everyone's like,
just
fuck Becky.
Swiftly.
You thought we hated you before? Now that we know your personality more, we fucking hate you. No. Hopefully not.
No.
If you do, just don't tell me.
Just don't say anything.
Block me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'm like, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Just
totally
go somewhere else and don't agree with me.
Just don't tell me.
Just don't be on my page and like
literally. Yeah. It's so funny. When I started therapy, I was telling all my friends, oh my gosh, therapy has made me so sensitive and so soft, and I cry so much more now. And funnily enough, then a few more months go by, and ironically, with the help of my therapist, she made me realize that I've actually been so fucking sensitive my whole life. But I have been hurt so much in my past. Oh. We talk about the bar being on the floor with guys. Oh my God. The stories I have of men.
I'm sure we could.
Insane.
We could share war stories.
Literally could share war stories.
Yeah.
And it's like, that just made my walls go up so high and like have such a tough exterior. And I think a lot of people for so long too were like, oh, Becky has such thick skin and she's so tough. And I have this like, I don't know, I use humor as a deflection, and I'm whatever. I'm a triple Leo from Jersey. I'm like bitchy in hopefully a funny way,
Sassy.
Yeah, sassy. I would say that's a kind way of putting it. But I'm so fucking sensitive, and everything hurts my feelings. And now that I've like gone through this kind of journey on my therapy journey, I'm extra sensitive. So if you could just be a little kinder, that would be appreciated. Always appreciated. Again, if you don't agree, or if you're a big fan of the people that we're talking about, that's okay. Yeah, but maybe don't listen to this one.
Yeah, right. Or if you got this far, you've already listened, but maybe.
Yeah, I'm like, put this in the beginning as a disclaimer. Stop listening right now at the end.
Exactly. Yeah, just go, instead of pouring hate here, go just channel that into love for them. And
totally.
Great.
Love it.
The world keeps spinning.
Love that message. It's really bizarre. The LGBTQ plus community is the hardest on queer people.
Yeah.
They will fucking rip you apart. And I remember even when I first started dating Shannon, I thought the straight people in my life, that was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And it was not at all. I remember I met up with my ex-boyfriend to exchange our stuff when I just started talking to Shannon, and I was like, I want to tell you something, I'm seeing someone, and he's like, oh, like a girl, right? Like everyone knew. My friends were like, yeah. And I feel like when I started dating her, the queer community was like, but you've never dated a girl before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. It feels like for a marginalized group of people, there should be more empathy for each other.
Yes.
And it just doesn't feel that way sometimes.
I completely agree.
You need to just put
a
piece of tape over my mouth. I will not let you end this. I will not let you end this.
You're never.
I'm like, what else? I'm like, you know what?
Never
I'm like, one time when I was 5. Let's talk about my first trauma.